super stoked to be here. I'm so sorry I missed last week. I am still recovering from surgery, y'all. But I'm just trying to jump back into the things um, and into the swing of things. And so it's taking me a little bit longer than I anticipated, for sure. But God is in control. I appreciate your flexibility and your patience. We're going to get there. But we are in the process of studying the book of Nehemiah, and it has been, I don't know about y'all, but it's been very eye opening for me. I love the book of Nehemiah. Like, I'm always looking at it, I'm always reading it, and I swear, I just keep getting new things out of it. I keep getting new things out of it. And so, of course, if you're taking notes, and I hope that you are, this part of this series is called, what's this episode? I don't remember this episode. But if you're taking notes, and I hope that you are, it is called Road to Revival. And we are going to study Nehemiah chapter 4 today. Um, man, I'm sorry. My allergies are kicking my butt, but it's gonna be all right. And so Nehemiah chapter 4, it was good. It was good, and it just made me think of a few things that we could stand to apply in our everyday lives going on here. And so I wanted to make sure that I talked about them with you, because literally chapter 4 verse 1, we're coming in hot with Sanballat. Okay, and he is not happy that the people of Judah are making progress in rebuilding the wall. That baby is mad. Okay, he is not happy at all. Okay, give me a second. Mm. Yeah, so he's not happy at all that this wall is literally being rebuilt. And so they've tried to do so many different things to distract the people from building the wall. They've tried to intimidate them. You know, they've tried to put doubt in their minds. They've tried to scare them. Like they are just going and doing anything that they can to distract them and keep them from making the main thing, okay? And so once he saw that they were rebuilding the wall, it says he was furious. And he mocked the Jews before his colleagues, which is, the army, and the powerful men of Samaria, and said, "What are these pathetic Jews doing? Can they restore it by themselves? Will they offer sacrifices? Will they ever finish it? Can they bring these burnt stones back to life from the molds of rubble?" And so then Tobiah the Ammonite, who was beside him, said, "Indeed, even if a fox climbed up what they are building, he would break down the stone wall." I mean, like, they are just talking major smack, okay? They are talking major smack. But one thing that they messed up, one thing that they messed up because they're criticizing what God is empowering his children to build. And so uh, that's a word just right there for you. Don't get discouraged by the thing that you're building. Everybody thinks you have to start off so big and so gargantuan, right? We're talking about this a lot lately. Everybody wants to skip the starter house. You don't get to skip the starter house. The starter house is not your aesthetically pleasing house. It is not your Instagram worthy, TikTok worthy. Dang, I got a hole. That's crazy. TikTok worthy house. It's just not. But it teaches you stewardship. It teaches you equity. It teaches you about, how you can take care of things, and it helps to set you up for success, to move on to bigger and better. People don't want to do that. People just want to go straight to the greatness. They want to go straight to the big and I want to call it the bad, but the big and aesthetically pleasing. Let's just call it that. And so what they're building right now doesn't look great. Hello, these are not professional builders. Nobody is a professional builder here, but everybody is putting in their hand to the plow to get the work done. Okay, and so with that, that is something that is true to our lives, right? God tells you that you need to do this thing. He gives you a dream or inspiration or a witty invention or idea that you need to accomplish. And I think many times we overcomplicate it because we think that we need to start out way here at the way top. And that's not how that works. So don't despise small beginnings. Just take your time and work and do the thing because it is going to come to pass. And you'd be surprised how many people start with small things, small beginnings. And I love seeing stories like Dr. Miles Monroe, how he started his church and it was a small building and they were doing huge productions because he had a big imagination. And so, dang, I dropped it. Use your big imagination to do the thing and don't worry about what anyone else has to say because people are always going to talk. And that's the crazy thing, especially now that I'm getting back into sports. I love sports, by the way. I've been watching women's basketball. That's my jam. It used to be my jam in high school. It's my jam again. And so with that, you see like everybody talking all the things. Everybody's talking smack, and everybody's just saying like, this person could have played better. This person should have done this, and it's like it's easy to say what the person should have done while you're sitting on the sidelines doing nothing. You're literally just watching. Like you paid to be here, okay? You paid to be here because you gotta have a subscription. Gotta have a subscription. You are, on Amazon Prime Live watching. You're on something. You paid to be here, but everybody becomes a coach until it's time for them to step on the floor and actually play the game when the ball is in their hand. And so that was like one of the main things that the Lord was just pressing upon me. These people, this army, Sam Ballard and his army friends, his military friends, they were just criticizing God's people and what they were doing. He really tried to instill fear in the children of Israel to get them to stop building. And so people will talk about you, and especially our culture, the cousins. I remember just getting made fun of because she on time. Like, why are you making fun of me for doing the right thing? So she always on time. Actually, I'm early because to be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late, right? At least that's what I learned, and it just stuck with me. Um, or just always being prepared. People would make fun of me for always being prepared, always having, my supplies and that sort of thing. And that's kind of like the same mindset here. People will make fun of you and try to basically get you to stop doing what it is that you're doing. But I just want to encourage you to keep going, okay? And so he tried to set fear in them and, share fear for the future to get them to stop and distract them. Let me tell you what Tobiah did. Tobiah the Ammonite, who was beside him, said that. I'm sorry. It wasn't Tobiah who responded. But let me tell you what the children of Israel did. And so they said, listen, our God. This is verse 4. Listen, our God, for we are despised. Make their insults return on their own heads, and let them be taken as plunder to a land of captivity. Do not cover their guilt or let their sin be erased from your sight, because they have angered the builders. So we rebuilt the wall until the entire wall was joined together up to half of its height, for the people had the will to keep working. You gotta have the mindset no matter what's going on. Okay? Give me a second. My allergies are kicking my butt. I think I need to sneeze or blow my nose or something, child. Ah. Okay, I feel better. So I get my allergy shot, and it's literally putting everything that I'm allergic into me, and my allergies work by stuffing me up. So yeah, all of this, fun times. And I'm just getting started with the allergy shots. I still have like 5 more years in hopes that it will kind of level me out and get me together to where I don't have such strong reactions to outside and dust mites and all the things. But back to verse number 6. They had the mindset, because I underlined, for the people had the will to keep working. And oftentimes it's our mindset that will throw us off and jack us up, right? And so, no matter how hard things get, you have to always have a positive mental mindset. And so, your mindset is everything. We're Mogul Mom Mindset for a reason when it comes to the podcast. Even when you get to digging into the Bible, it tells you to think on certain things. You got to think on the good things, those things that are lovely, those things that are positive, those things that are kind. And so that takes work because, hello, we're seeing in real time here, these people are building by faith. They're doing what God has commissioned them to do via their project manager, Nehemiah, right? And here is some haters on the side, mortal enemies, just trying to distract them and keep them from doing what they need to do. And they just had the mindset to keep going. They had the mindset to keep working because this really was a move of God. Okay, they had come out of captivity. They were finally back home. Home was ruined from when they were, um, defeated and taken captive, right? We have people like Daniel and Esther that have chosen to stay in Susa, the citadel. And these people are choosing to come back home and rebuild. That is rough. That is tough. That's not easy to do. And so, um, you know, I'm sure they were faced with, some negative thoughts. I'm sure they were faced with, some opposition, more opposition, and just Sambella and the armies. Sometimes the opposition and the attitudes and the defeatedness comes from just dealing with people inside of your own camp. So I remember, I don't remember exactly where right now, but I just remember reading, like, even Nehemiah was fussing at the leaders, like, why are y'all charging these people? I'm not even charging these people, and I'm supposed to charge these people. Why are you taking food from their mouths? Why are you taking their children and making them indentured servants? Like, you aren't supposed to be doing that right now. And so I'm sure they were facing so much opposition. The people were discouraged in a lot of different places, but they still had the mindset and the will to keep going. And so I want to encourage you to have the mindset and the will to keep going. And I think that for us in our everyday lives, we don't think about what a good day's progress is. This is why I always talk about the top 5. Sometimes one of my top 5 is just staying alive. Like, did I keep those children alive? All right, well, that was a win for the day. Did everybody get fed and clothed? That was a win for the day. Just recovering from surgery. The fact that I'm getting up and walking, or like going back to work, those things are wins because what I want to do, what my body wants to do, is just sleep. Literally, I just want to rest. And so we have to take into account that those things are wins. And so sometimes, progress is 35% for the day, and that 35% is your 100% because that's literally all you could give. I think we need to get out of the mindset, especially in America, where it's like this huge grind culture, and this everybody's got to be making moves, and it's so crazy because only 6% of people of color make 100K, but everybody's online talking about how much they make and how they're making all this money. At 6% making 100K, and I'm telling you, because we do, you get taxed 22% of that. So that's not a lot of money. That's not a lot of money. But everybody online is flossing and acting like, they are just making more than 100K. And it's not true. It's not true. They be lying. They be lying. And so with that, I think a lot of people that pay attention to the influencer culture, they think that, you have to give 100%, 100%, 100%, 120% every day to be productive. And sometimes productivity looks like Sunday we're resting, so we're not doing anything, right? Monday is a 35% day. Tuesday is a 75% day. Wednesday is a 65% day. Thursday is a 25% day. Friday is a 5% day. But each day you're pushing the needle forward in the things that you need to do. It doesn't always have to be 100%. Slow and steady wins the race. So as long as you are pushing the needle forward in the things that God is calling you to do, then you are being productive and you are doing a good thing. And so, I mean, if you think about it, they had these 10 gates that they needed to, take care of, and this big old wall. So they're building all of this, not being professionals. And it's taking them time because, hello, they're not professionals. But supernaturally, spoiler alert, because I'll always end up talking about the later on in the book, they built the wall in 52 days. So that was just a supernatural feat in the first place. We knew that God was with them. And so I want to just get you to pay attention, because the assignment of the critic is to always bring you pause so that way you don't keep going. And so um, I want to read verse. I'll just start at 7 again. Okay, so when Sanballat, Tobiah, and the Arabs, Ammonites, and the Ashdodites, you see, he got more people now. He keeps bringing more people into the fold. They heard that the repair of to the walls of Jerusalem was progressing and that the gaps were being closed. They became furious because why are you making progress and we're trying to stop you? Okay, we are trying to critique your work to make you feel insecure about the things that you're doing. We're trying to intimidate you and scare you out of doing the work. We're trying to talk about the future because everybody likes to talk about the future, right? The future, when you just get caught up in the future, it paralyzes a lot of people. So we see Sanballat and all of them literally using these tactics to try and stop the children of Israel, and it's not working. So it's frustrating them, and he keeps bringing more people into his crew to kind of help to push this initiative forward unsuccessfully. Thank God for that. Okay. They became furious. Verse 8, they all plotted together to come and fight against Jerusalem and throw it into confusion. Anytime there's confusion, you know that that's the enemy. Also, anytime somebody is ganging up on you, when you are holding your own against your toxic family, and everybody has to gang up and say, you know what Tricia did? Do you know what Tricia said? Can you believe she said it? Can you believe she's raising her kids this way? To fear the Lord. Can you believe that? She thinks she's better than us. Blah, 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 blah. That's what they do, right? So, it's to confuse you. It's just noise. You have to learn to ignore the noise. And I've been highlighting all of their prayers in a different color because most of the time really every time I'm seeing it, um, we're reading a story. Anytime we're getting some opposition, what I'm noticing is the response is always prayer. Stop trying to clap back. Stop trying to prove yourself. Stop trying to prove that you're not wrong. Just pray. Just be quiet and pray. Okay? And so verse 9, so we prayed to our God and stationed a guard because of them day and night. So they had watchmen. Yeah. Watchmen are stationed at the wall to sound the alarm in case the enemy is coming. Catch that. All right, so then they get to praying, and Judah is like, we don't have strength. The strength of our labors fail. Since there's so much rubble, we got to carry all this rubble out. We got to build the wall. I'm sure they still had, regular work to do. And they just was like, we'll never be able to rebuild the wall. Here's the doubt creeping in. This was, a sneak attack from the enemy. So let's go to verse 11. And our enemy said they won't realize it until we're among them and can kill them and stop the work. When the Jews who lived nearby arrived, they said to us time and again, everywhere you turn, they attack us. So here's what Nehemiah did. And I love that he was on top of the things, okay? And this is like really where we're digging in. He was on top of the things because immediately after hearing the plans that Sanballat and them were, trying to operate, he said, "I stationed people behind the lowest sections of the wall. At the vulnerable areas, I stationed them by families with their swords, spears, and bows. And after I made an inspection, because he was going to check in the work, as you should, trust but verify, right? I stood up and said to the nobles, the officials, and the rest of the people, don't be afraid of them. Remember the great and awe inspiring Lord and fight for your countrymen, your sons and your daughters, and your wives." Like Nehemiah is challenging the leaders, okay? And so I'm going to read a little bit more and then we're going to like end up here. We're going to wrap up here. Let me say it that way. All right, so when the enemies heard that we knew their scheme and that God had frustrated it, because guess what? You're trying to cause doubt and critique and cause fear. God frustrates the plans of the enemy too. And so I want you to stick that in your back pocket. Make that a prayer when you are constantly trying to do the thing and the thing is not working out. The enemy's frustrating your plan. And so you need to be praying to God to return that back to sender, okay? No, God, can you frustrate the plans of the enemy? Because the thing that I'm trying to do is for your kingdom, for your glory, not for my will, not because I want to do this thing, okay? You told me to do it. I'm going to be obedient and doing this thing. Frustrate the plans of the enemy so that way we can be successful. You can have good success. I'm telling you, good success is what you want. All right. And so from that day on, after God had frustrated their plan, every one of us returned to his own work on the wall. From that day on, half of my men did work while the other half held spears, shields, bows, and armor. The officers supported all the people of Judah who were rebuilding the wall. The laborers who carried the loads and worked with one hand and a weapon with the other. So let's go there, and then I'll jump into verse 16. But let's do verse 17. The laborers who carried their loads worked with one hand and held a weapon with the other. I love Pastor Gerald Johnson. He taught me when he was just Elder Gerald Johnson about being ambidextrous with the book of Nehemiah. You got to know how to work and fight at the same time, okay? We be lazy. I'm not gonna, we be lazy. And so we have to know how to work and fight at the same time. And so what does that look like? That looks like you working a full-time job and, being a 9 to 5 entrepreneur. So that means you work your 9 to 5 or your 7 to 3 or whatever, right? And then when you clock out, you clock back in, you go home, you cook, you clean, and then you work on your business, you work on your book, you work on your course that you're creating, all of those things, because you need to do both. There is no getting around doing both. Will you be tired? Absolutely. I'm always tired. Do you rest? Absolutely. You should rest. But you have to get out of thinking that things are just going to be easy, things are just going to be handed to you, and that there's no work required. Faith without works is dead. You're going to have to do both. Okay? And so that's even something that Pastor John and I would talk about. He's like trying to figure out what he's doing with his music. And I'm just like, I got some ideas, but you don't want to listen. But okay. Until then, work and do both. You got to work and do both. Um, everybody should. Everybody should. We are not one dimensional. God wants us to make a difference at home and out in the marketplace and everywhere else. Okay. All right. But let's get back to verse 16. I want to talk about a few things. We got in verse 13, we were talking about swords, spears, and bows. And then in verse 16, we were talking about spears, shields, bows, and armor. So I want to break down what those mean. Of course, sword is the power of God, the word of God. We know that to be as the Bible, right? And so these are things that the Lord is equipping the people of the children of Israel with to make sure that the wall is getting together and completed. So when we go back to verse 13, it says, I stationed the people behind the lowest sections of the wall at the vulnerable areas. I stationed them by families with their swords, spears, and bows. So God is equipping the people and giving them their swords, spears, and their bows. For us, the sword would be the power of God, the word of God. It's your Bible. It's this. My kids call it the Bible Blicky. Whatever you call it, just use it. I need you to use it. I need you to read it, okay? And so this is one of the things that while we're on our wall building the thing that God told us to build, we need to make sure that we always have our sword with us, okay? The next thing is the spear. And so your spear is a symbol of power, authority, and warfare. It symbolizes conflict and power. And so basically, when you see a spear, you know that's a weapon you got to fight. You got to use your spear. Okay. It's going to uh, re it's going to cause, let me say that, it's going to cause some impact when you use it. And so that's why you have to have power. You have to have authority because you got to know what you're doing when you use a spear. You have to be skillful. And so I don't know if it's just a warrior in me, right? Yeah, I'm always looking at these things. Like, as a wife, we are front line. We're front line for the family. We're the battle axe. We know the things because that's what the Lord shows us. We have to be the watchman of the family. And so each time we're a weapon, we're helping to make sure that our family is good, right? We're helpmates. We help our spouses, our husbands meet and or exceed their goals, their vision. That you got to marry somebody with a vision. Please don't marry somebody without a vision. Because where are you taking me? I'm not a ride or die girl. I got questions. Where we going? How long is it gonna take to get there? What we doing when we get there? Like you need to know the vision. Bows. Bows are a symbol of humans, strength, and efforts. It is divine judgment and deliverance. It symbolizes human strength and limitations. Here's the thing with the bow. You have to have the right aim. So you have to have the right aim. You have to have strength. You have to have eyesight for it, which means you have to have some practice. You can't just be out here free balling it all. You have to have skill. Mastery is 10,000 hours of doing the same thing. This is why Kobe went to the gym at 4 o'clock and then went home, ate breakfast, took the kids to school, and went back to the gym at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock. And then went home, took a shower, took a nap, and then went back to practice because he was working on his bow. He was working on skill, making sure he had the right aim. This is something that I'm talking to my kids about quite often. Everybody in this house, all of them are guilty, bless their little hearts. I think because they see mommy and daddy are just excellent at things, they don't realize that we work at those things to be excellent. Hello, excellent means going the extra mile. The extra mile is never crowded. That means we're always doing something above and beyond. Not because we want to. That's just God, okay? And so they try and do these things, and if they try it once, they're not successful, they don't want to do it. And it's like, no, you have to build the skill. And I feel like I told the story before, but I'll tell it again. My number 3 baby girl, A3, she was in wrestling. She wanted to be in wrestling. She was working out. Baby had a 6-pack. She's putting protein in her pancakes, like doing all the things. And she's like, I want to be a wrestler. And I think she wants to be a WWE wrestler. But in her mind, bet I want to be a WWE wrestler because we always watch that. Let me go join the wrestling team. They're not the same. They are not the same. So she joins. It's unisex. She only fought one girl. She literally lost every um, tournament except for one, and then she got a medal for that one. Thank God, because she was gonna lose it. Um, and she wanted to quit, and I'm like, no, you can't quit. You got to see it through. You got to see it through. Um, and so we kept practicing and trying different things with her, and she was just like, now she's like, I never want to talk about that wrestling again. Don't say the word to me. It's like a cuss word to her. Um, but she got the medal, y'all. She won one tournament by forfeiting. The other person didn't show up, so she won the medal. And she hated it because she wasn't great at it. And I'm just like, no, if that's like where your heart is and what you want to be good at, you have to practice. You have to keep working on it. And so I think many of us are like her in that instance. If we're not great, we don't want to do it. We have to practice to be great. You got to miss a lot of shots before you start making shots. You got to work on your form. You got to have the right aim. And so, what is it that God is telling you to do? If you are supposed to be an evangelist, if you are supposed to be a prophet, well, I'll break them down. If you're supposed to be an evangelist, you should know your word, right? Everybody should absolutely know their word. You should be in the word because you're going to encounter a lot of different people that have a lot of different opinions about your faith. You're going to have to know how to have those conversations, which means we need the right aim. How are you going to have a conversation with um, an agnostic? How are you going to have a conversation with a Mormon? How are you going to have a conversation with a Hebrew Israelite? How are you going to have a conversation with, you know, an atheist? What scriptures, what stories, what experiences can you share that can pierce through the heart and get them to understand? We need the right aim. When you're a prophet, you don't say everything you see. So we get on a call before here and I talk and I pray. And sometimes I speak a little bit more freely on the call. I don't say everything here. I don't need to have video proof that I said this at this time earlier last year. It's my job to see it, to pray about it. I tell my girls on the line so we can pray about it. I don't need to go viral for it. Just know that the Lord told me. I sent it and we're praying about it. You have to have the right aim. You don't say everything that the Lord shares with you. He is supposed to be like, you know, when you have that intimate time, it is intimate, it is private. And so it's like, you get in the prayer closet and God tells you a secret and you want to go tell everybody because you're just happy you heard his voice. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. He is not giving prophecies and words to you about condemning everybody and about this person being a false prophet and about that person being. You know how many people I see that just be not right? I sat under some of them and it was like, okay, David and Saul, Tricia. David never dishonored Saul, ever. He did not do it. He had opportunity to kill him and still wouldn't do it. You pray. That's what you do. So we have to have the right aim. And so everybody has their own aim, but everybody should know the word. Everybody. Because even as a prophet, you should be reading your word because when you read your word, you hear his voice differently because my sheep know my voice. And how do you know his voice? Because I know it's not by just listening to no pastor. I know that. I know that ain't it. It's really by the word. It's really by the word. Um, the next one is shield. Obviously, your shield is your protection, right? I want to go to Genesis 15, verse 1. real quick because your shield is your protection. And I just don't want to be yapping, as my kids say. Because, baby, I could yap. When it come to Jesus, baby, we could talk all day. So, Genesis 15. See what happens when we get a new Bible? Pages be all sticking and stuff. It's okay. All right. So, Genesis chapter 15, verse 1. And after these events, the word of the Lord came to Abraham in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. Your reward will be very great. Who's the shield? Who's the shield? I want to read Ephesians chapter 6, and I want a different version, so I'm picking up my phone. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 16. I'm going to read it from the NLT. In addition to all of these, hold up the shield of faith to stop the fiery arrows of the devil. Let me see if I can find another translation, because you know me. The shield of faith. Let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to read the Amplified version. It says, above all, lift up the protective shield of faith with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. I like that one. The New King James Version says, above all, taking the shield of faith with which you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one. The TPT version says, in every battle, take faith as your wraparound shield, for it is able to extinguish the blazing arrows coming at you from the evil one. All right, I'm going to end it with Psalm 28. We're going to go to Psalm 28, verse 7. The Lord is my strength and my shield. I trust him with all my heart. He helps me, and my heart is filled with joy. I burst out in songs of thanksgiving. I mean, the first sentence is our focus, obviously, right? But it's telling us all the things that the shield, which is God, does for us. The Lord is our strength and our shield. And so we see they needed this shield. He equipped them with the sword, the spears, and the bows, right? But then also when we go back down, they worked and they were multitasking. They were ambidextrous and half held spears, shields, bows, and armor while they worked. Your armor is your divine protection. I mean, hello, it's just that simple. It's the divine protection. So this is why we always talk about our angels. I'm always praying that our angels guide us, guard us, and protect us. And, they're like your secret service. You don't even realize that they're there, but they're there guiding you. Sometimes we get frustrated that there's an accident or we're getting caught by every red light. And it's just like, come on, I got to get to work. I'm in a rush or I was running late. And it's like, no, I'm protecting you from, something that could hurt you and harm you. This accident could have taken you out the game, or you could have lost a limb from this accident. So I am preventing you from even getting to that space. And so we praise God for divine delays. But when it comes to this book, there was not a divine delay. These people were protected. They had all of the things that the Lord and Nehemiah equipped them with to continue on. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Verse 19, then I said to the nobles, the officials, and the rest of the people, the work is enormous and spread out, and we are separated far from one another along the wall. Wherever you hear the sound of the ram's horn, I love that. Rally to us there. Our God will fight for us. So we continued to work while half of the men were holding spears from daybreak until the stars came out. At that time, I also said to the people, let everyone and his servants spend the night inside Jerusalem, so that they can stand guard by night and work by day. And I, my brothers, my servants, and the men of the guard with me never took off our clothes. Each carried his weapon even when washing. So they were able to divide and conquer, and they were ready for battle. Okay, so I think we have to get to a space where we are ready to battle. Okay, we are, and I don't know why people don't realize it, but we're always in a spiritual battle. And so you have to understand the God frequency and just have spiritual consciousness. And I think I'm going to teach about that later. When you understand God frequency, um, you are able to know, like, oh, okay, this is, we are not battling against flesh and blood. I mean, even people you encounter at work, it's always going to be a spiritual battle. It's going to be a spiritual encounter. um, I'm at work, and you know me, I don't I'm always just me. But I am very conscious because HR, right? So I think the most people have heard me say is like, I'm a woman of faith, but I'm always just really, really positive because that's just like my countenance. And I'm getting ready for a trip, and this woman, I love her. She's so sweet, and she's gay. And you know me, I don't care. I always let people be them. So she's like, Tricia, you're a woman of God. What I would do is just, go do this, go hang out with the leader for a little bit, get your little picture, and then go on back to that room. Because those trips get wild. And I was just like, how, where, how did you get there? How did you get there? Like, what is it that you see in me that you just were like, yeah, she's a woman of God? I don't know. I think it's because I'm green and I don't use profanity, and I'm literally just always trying to be positive. But I don't. You never hear me say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. When I, God, and I've never been that girl. Obviously, when you give me an opening, we're gonna talk about God, right? Uh, but we have to get into a space to where we are in the mindset to be able to do both. We have to be able to do both. In this season of on our way to revival, gotta be able to do both. There are things that we need to be building in this birthing season, this time to birth. We should have already been building. If you are falling behind, you didn't build the thing that you were supposed to build. Birthing season is coming. It's coming. So, with that, get to building, because this wall was supernaturally built in 52 days. So you'd be surprised what God can do for you and with you if you invite Him into your process. That's it. That's all. I love y'all. I do. I am exhausted, so I'm gonna go back to bed. Um, and then I'll see y'all again next week. Yeah, that's all I got. Podcast should be out tomorrow. I interviewed Sharon Small. Man, I never know where interviews are gonna take me, but that was a really, really, really good interview. So I pray it blesses you. Um, Take some time to check that out too. But yeah, it's time to get ready. Time to not be lazy. We got to do more than one thing. We got to pray. We got to seek the Lord. And it's going to set us up for success in the end. So I love you. I hope you have a great week. I will see y'all here again next Sunday. Minister Tiffany will be on Facebook Thursday night. And Pastor John will be on teaching Bible study on Saturday. So if you want the information, reach out and I'll get you together. Okay, bye.